Hello, we're live. The WrestleManiacs post show for WWE Extreme Rules 2014. What's going on, guys? First up, we'll go down the line here. Reddy, how you doing, buddy?
Ramos, how are you doing?
Good.
It was a fun night.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed the pay-per-view. We'll all talk about it. We got Garrett on here. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Everybody's doing good, I believe. We got Double Schneeberger. What's going on?
What's up? How's it going, guys?
He shaved a little bit of his beard since the last time you've seen him, I think.
Very dapper.
And he's awesome. He's the Piz. What's going on?
Not too much. Not too much, right?
I need to work on like an introduction for everybody, like have it written out, you know, like tell me what your all's gimmick name is and all that shit. No, I'll work on the introductions.
Do it like Howard Finkel. Next up we have from Parts Unknown.
Yeah, so tell me where you guys are from, what you want to say, whatever. We'll do that next time. It'd be fun. I can maybe add some background music.
He's awesome.
That would be killer.
Yeah, so anyway, Extreme Rules 2014. I thought they had a pretty damn good lineup. That's what we were saying before we started the show. I thought this show on paper, and me and Jason were talking to it, it looked like it was going to be a great show, and I think it was a pretty damn good show. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, agreed.
I thought it was okay. I might be the Debbie Downer of this episode, but I thought it was okay.
I think the first half was real strong, and the second half was kind of weak.
Yeah,
I'll
co-sign. I'll co-sign that one.
It was really strong to start up to like the Shield. After the Shield and Evolution match, after that it was kind of I thought.
Yeah.
See, and I was a little surprised by that too, because I thought that was going to be the main event of the show, and that was kind of in the middle of the show.
It should have been.
I think it should have been too, yeah.
Yeah, it should have been for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you had Evolution's first match together as a team, and how many years? I don't even know. And the Shield's red hot right now, white hot, if you will. So I'm surprised, but I was really surprised by that. But anyway, we'll kick it off with the pre-show match, which I thought was better than a couple of matches on the actual show. It was a lot of fun. The WeeLC match, and for this match, this was hilarious. They had miniature commentators.
Jerry Smaller and Micro Cole.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And JBL.
Yeah.
JBL.
Yeah.
The best one.
Yeah. That was fun, like, because to me, in my opinion, like, some of the stuff they did was kind of politically incorrect. You're not really supposed to, you're making fun of these little people, but I enjoyed that. Not because they were making fun of little people, just because it was funny. It was enjoyable. And they had some pretty crazy spots in this match, too, though, especially the final spot. Little El Torito could have got really hurt doing that, that splash, but they protected him pretty well, I think.
Yeah, Jinder took most of that.
Yeah. That looked rough, for sure. But yeah, I mean, they had a fun little match. I mean, midget matches, or I don't even know if you're supposed to call them that anymore.
We're not politically correct here. We're rated R, okay? This isn't the PG era. We're rated R here on WrestleManiacs, all right?
What are they calling them? We?
A little person or a dwarf.
Dwarf.
Worse.
Yeah, they should have like a belt called the WWE Dwarf Championship. That would be awesome.
That would be fun.
No,
I mean, those matches, they should know, putting those matches together, I mean, it's kind of the politically incorrect, that's just an aspect of those matches, because you're kind of, for most of the match, you're sort of making fun of them, but then some of the match you're like, oh, okay, so they can act, they're athletic, they may be small, but they're athletic, but you give them all those goofy spots that are supposed to, bring a chuckle out of the audience, which they did, and you could definitely look at that as being a little politically incorrect, but it's just the name of the game.
You have to also mention with this match that they had the miniature little announcer's table, miniature chairs, miniature table, or chairs and tables and ladders. I was cracking up, man, at some of that table.
No, see, if they go all out like that, they should have promoted that a little more. Like, they didn't really tell us they were going to do that. And I think people, you never know. I mean, they may have been more interested in seeing a match like that, They never really even said it was a TLC match. I mean, it's a WeeLC match. They didn't really explain too much if they were just making fun of the name or if it was going to be what it was, and it was a TLC match. They had miniature, little folding tables and like kindergarten chairs and all kinds of shit. It was awesome. Like I thought that was a lot of fun. Enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah.
That was way better than it had any right to be, honestly.
Yeah, it was great. Like, and Hornswoggle, like we were saying before, they hadn't really used him for much anything for 1 on 2 years there. So I'm sure he was excited to be on a pay-per-view. So
I think what helped that match too is like the guys that were at ringside were like helping out with the match, like setting stuff up and kind of helping them out with spots. I think that probably elevated the match too, because there was just a lot going on. It was just very entertaining. Like, I was totally surprised. I thought it was just going to be a laugh, but it was actually very entertaining and fun.
Yeah, totally.
And I think a lot of those guys too, like from 3MB, they were kind of excited about being in a bigger pay-per-view match, and they were kind of doing some crazy falls there and stuff as well. I mean, Drew McIntyre. Hell, I mean, they were pushing the hell out of that guy a few years ago, and I don't know if he pissed somebody off or what, but yeah, I mean, he tried to bring it a little bit on this show, So I mean,
he went from the chosen one to the quiet one really quick. So
yeah, he had that awesome freaking theme music too. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, 3MB actually got a win the other night. So
maybe moving on up.
Moving up in the world, the Hornswoggle effect. Moving them up in the world.
Well, Hornswoggle's got Leprechaun coming out later on too, so maybe they'll get a little bit of that rub.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, opening match on the show. And speaking of which, I know we're not paying $30 or $40 for the pay-per-views anymore, but the opening spot of the actual show was probably about 10 minutes long worth of video packages and shit before they finally got started with the first match.
Yeah.
Come on, really? Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, triple threat elimination match with Cesaro, Jack Swagger, and Rob Van Dam. I kind of expected this match would be pretty awesome, and it was. Like, I enjoyed the match. I think Cesaro's, they're pushing him to the moon, and Rob Van Dam really mesh well together, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I thought Swagger actually put out a good showing tonight, too, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Swagger's I think he might be fighting for his job, because he's probably worried.
He probably is.
I mean, he did really well. I mean, him and Zeb is still kind of over, with the We the People. Did they even do that tonight? Because I feel like they didn't.
During the interview, yeah.
Yeah, they did. No, they did when they came out too, and whenever they do it, they get the response. Yeah, the crowd says it right with them. So I mean, they are they've got some overage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel Swagger brought it good. I thought all three did really well. The worst part of that match was the commentators, because I don't even know if they watched the product or what, because I felt like they were lost half the time. I thought it was an elimination match, and then halfway through, some of the stuff they were saying, I'm like, is it? Because they're like, oh, he's trying to save him to win the match, and then that 3 count happened. They're like, did he win? And I'm confused for a second, and then I was like, all right, I thought it was an elimination match, but
I think they were
they didn't
confused.
know what was going on.
Exactly. And I got that feeling a few times throughout the night, to be honest. I think the commentating was it just seemed off tonight. Like they didn't know what was going to happen.
Right, I totally agree.
Yeah.
There's a couple other times I found that out too.
Yeah, it was odd, but it was really odd there. Yeah.
One thing I don't think they really did with this pay-per-view that they could have done a little better is, the Extreme Rules show traditionally is, it's a different gimmick match for each match on the show, and they did that kind of, but they didn't really explain a whole lot, especially with I know there's technically no rules in these matches, but I think they could have had, been more along the lines with the steel cage match with Bray Wyatt and have a different type of match for each, have that well defined and set up before the actual show. Evidently,
I agree.
I
felt the same way in Brian's match. I was confused on the rules.
Yeah, they should have definitely explained that more, or I don't even know if they were just fumbling around the day of the show and figuring out what type of match this is going to be, whatever. So. Something else though, Cesaro with Paul Heyman. Do you think that kind of works, or because to me it seemed like Cesaro was going to be a full-fledged babyface, and then they kind of stuck him with Heyman. What do you guys think?
It's good for Cesaro. I think it's good for Cesaro because Heyman's like the top heel in the company. He's like the he's just so good at what he does that whoever he has with him just gets elevated, I think, because he's such a great just mouthpiece. And again, what was great about Paul, and I love Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman can come out and go on about Brock Lesnar and end in the streak, and people are booing and hissing, and then he'll go, Cesaro, and people just explode. And they love him. They go from hating him because he's associated with Brock Lesnar, who broke the streak, to loving him because he's associated with Cesaro.
And that's an interesting dynamic with him, is even though Cesaro is technically a heel, he's over with the crowd, so you've kind of got Heyman with the heel and with a face in a way, like the anti-hero, I guess you would say Cesaro would be, and but I think it definitely helps him. I mean, I just think, Heyman's, got a lot of clout in the wrestling world, and putting Cesaro with him definitely helps him, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that it's he's good to kind of elevate Cesaro where he needs to go. But I think they're adding that Brock Lesnar thing a lot because I think that they're kind of teasing that's how it could probably break up and let Cesaro go off on his own. But no, I think it's working for now. I just don't see it lasting because he's too old with the fans for it to last.
I think eventually Cesaro's going to be tired of Paul Heyman kind of promoting Brock Lesnar all the time and just going off on him, I think. It's going to happen sooner than later, I think.
Yeah.
What about the eventual Brock Lesnar-Cesaro match?
I think that would be great.
Yeah.
I think that's the plan, anyway.
Could you imagine Cesaro doing the spin on Brock Lesnar?
I'd love it.
Yeah.
Could you imagine Cesaro doing the spin on Paul Heyman?
Oh, yeah. That has to happen. Yeah. He's got to do it more times than ever if he does it to him. He's got to do it like 40 times or something, make him puke everywhere.
Yeah, they need to give him. They need to give Paul Heyman some epic hack before that. Have him spin about 30 times. They just have him projectile vomit everywhere.
Speaking of the spin, the camera angle's awful with that. I feel like if they would have got a far distance camera angle, it would look so much better than that in and out camera angle. They need to have like a wide, straight shot of it, and I think it would just look so much better. I don't know why they do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of mess up on a
I think they make people dizzy.
Probably, yeah. Bring him into the effect of it.
It has that dizzy effect, yeah.
Here's what I would love to see at some point. He can do the big swing on a cameraman. Now, how awesome would that be?
Have it going all over the place. Like,
yeah, that would be great. Next match on the show, though, Alexander Rusev versus R-Truth and Xavier Woods 2-on-1 handicap match. I got to admit, I didn't even see this match. That's how quick it was. I think I went up to get me a bottle of water, and it was pretty much done by the time I got back. Like, the match was over. So it was like a squash match, I'm guessing.
Yeah, if you,
I
don't know why they keep. I don't know why they keep doing this Rusev, R-Truth, and the other guy angle, because, I mean, it's always a squash. They've done it like a dozen times, and it always ends in a squash. I mean, and they're not really getting Rusev over as this beast by him taking out R-Truth and this other dude over and over and over again. They've totally got to move on with him. They're going to make him do anything with him, establish him in any way, because come on.
Yeah, you know, Xavier Woods was barely a blip on the radar in this match, and I mean, everybody knew it was going to be a squash match anyway. You know, Rusev, you know, I like him, but at the same time, you know, I'm kind of in with the opinion of, you know, I don't see him lasting because they're making him so indestructible. It's just, you know, all guys like this, you know, once they get beat, they lose their clout and just kind of fade away. I could see that happen with him. I mean, I hope not, just because, I mean, his build is just so, I mean, he's got a unique build to him, you know, like when he does that thing where he lifts up his arms, like his shape is just like ungodly huge, you know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot I think they could possibly do with him, and I think something they should probably do next is like the next step up from these guys without going too far is maybe do a program with Big E or something. I think that could be something good. You know.
Well, Lana's more over than Rusev is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yes.
Isn't that girl from like Florida or something like that? She's not even Russian.
Probably.
Not Russian.
Are we sure Rusev is even Russian and he's not like Hawaiian or something?
I'm not sure. Yeah, he's probably Samoan or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't even think that. I think that's a stupid. Like, that's the Rocky IV gimmick. Like,
yeah.
It's been done so many times. Like, I really wish they would have done something a little different with the gimmick. But hey, it is what it is. Next match, which is only the 5th match in the show. Or no, wait. Let's see. I'm sorry, getting ahead of myself. Bad News Barrett versus Big E for the Intercontinental title. I was kind of expecting Barrett to win this just because Big E's kind of had the title for so long, and he's really not. I don't think he's really went anywhere with it, so they needed a little bit of a change there. So I wasn't really surprised by that. And I think that they should really start to push Barrett a little more. He's really good in the ring, and he's great on the mic. And the Bad News gimmick, for some reason, is getting over. It seems like to me. I'm surprised by that, but. Yeah, I mean, I think it was the right move.
The fans like him. He's like a babyface. The crowd. What was funny was the crowd. There was one point in the match where Big E like hit him, and the crowd booed. The crowd booed the babyface because he got one over on the heel. Yeah, I mean the crowd, like when Bad News Barrett came out, they loved it. And Big E walked out to crickets. So, I mean, there was no doubt who was walking out of that match the winner. Because, I mean, Big E's not done anything with it. Big E's another one of those just like total fall from graces. I mean, it wasn't that long ago they had him in the ring with Cena and Punk, and they were putting him over, and he's like, you know, the next big thing. And literally like 2 months later, now he's, you know, will he even be at the next pay-per-view? What are they going to do with him now? I mean...
I like Big E. You know, I've kind of lost interest in him though. But I think he's another one that's got a lot of potential. Like he moves well for his size, and he's just so damn huge too. You know, but it just seems like they've just kind of forgot about him. That's why, you know, this is another one I pretty much predicted this entire card, like right on. You know, but I really had a feeling Barrett was going to win, and I unfortunately just see Big E just fading away from here. That's like I said. Like I think. That would be a good program with Rusev next for him, you know. Or actually, more for Rusev than Big E, because I just don't think they're going to. I don't see him really doing anything else with him, to be honest with you. I'll be surprised. I mean, I just think it's unfortunate. He's got potential, but I just don't think it's. I don't think their heads in the game with him.
Yeah. Well, and the wrestling fan today is so smart. They know when somebody's being forced down their throat, and they just know.
Yeah.
And their way of saying no is crickets. Is to yeah. I mean Barrett got the pop. You know he There was no doubt. There was no doubt about it who the crowd was for.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it with Barrett is, they give him that shitty material early on, but the way he delivered it and just his smirks and laughs and stuff like that, people kind of got behind it. And like you were saying with Big E, I mean, a lot of his, you could tell the company just loved the shit out of him, and a lot of that stuff, like they kind of just handed him on a silver platter, and yeah, I think the crowd sometimes shits on that, especially lately, with a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with Jason. I think Big E does have a lot of potential. I think it wasn't his fault. I think he was just booked bad as a champion. And with someone like him, when he's getting booed, I feel like he pulls out some stuff to try to get like a quick cheer. And I noticed that like last week, and then this week he just did a spear through the ropes. I was like, what the heck was that? But I think he just knows how to get that quick reaction when he needs it. But I just think he was booked horrible as a champion. I mean, they should have kept him hanging around with Cena. I mean, yeah, he would have got booed just, guilty by association, but I think it would have made him seem like a bigger star, almost like kind of back in the day when Ahmed Johnson would hang around with Shawn Michaels, and it kind of just helped elevate him up with popularity. And now, like you said, he's just going to fall to the wayside and be hanging around with, like, Sheamus or something like that.
Yeah.
I think Big E just got lost in the shuffle. I mean, they're pushing Roman Reigns, they're pushing Bray Wyatt, Daniel Bryan, Batista came back. I mean, all these things ruined his push. So he definitely has potential, but Wade Barrett has a bad gimmick, but he's having fun with that bad gimmick. And when a wrestler has fun with their gimmick, the fans have fun with that gimmick.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It's kind of like he's in on the joke with the fans, and the fans appreciate that. So, yeah.
Well, this is another match where JBL doesn't watch the show, because every week he does, I got bad news for you. Well, Barrett never says that, so he keeps repeating that same line. It's just hilarious, because I'm like, he doesn't even say I've got bad news for you, but JBL says that every single week, and I just find it hilarious. Like, he doesn't even watch the show at all.
I think there's a couple of small things they could do with Big E to get him more over, though. For one thing, get rid of the Nation of Domination ring attire. Like, that shit's done. Oh my god! Like, where in the fuck did that even come from, anyway? And like, all the wrestlers
makes no sense for.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and another thing that makes no sense at all is like, he comes to the ring with the fucking chalk or whatever, and like, does anybody give a fuck about that? Really? Like, that's stupid. Stuff like that.
It's like he's going to the gym to do some lifting or something. It's like, who cares?
Yeah, you're fucking going to wrestle, man. You're not in the gym. You're not going to be doing any powerlifting.
He's probably somebody who, they're going to have to take away from the scene for a while, like tear apart and rebuild and like sort of rebrand and do something with him. Because the crowd's just going to know, because the crowd's just not going to care, I don't think, otherwise.
Yeah, it was so easy how they would change somebody's character, like back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember, and they would start a feud this way too, like, and if a wrestler was going out for an injury or something and they were going to be out a while, like, you remember when, I think it was Yokozuna that, like, squashed the shit out of Crush back in the day, or whatever, and then he came back and was like pissed off at the Macho Man for not helping him or whatever, and just do something like that with him, turn him into a bad guy, have him go after somebody big, and you can sometimes make a star that way, but they don't really do that shit anymore.
Make him the newest member of the Wyatt family.
They could. They've got a little boy as the newest member. We'll talk about that a little bit later on.
They've got little Johnny.
Little Johnny. It was trending on Twitter.
It was, yeah.
According to
every time they say little Johnny, R-Truth should get a nickel.
That's little Jimmy, though. That's little Jimmy.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's little Jimmy, not little Johnny.
They should have called him little Jimmy.
They should have. Yeah. Give R-Truth a nickel anyway. What have they done with him lately? Poor guy. He's getting squashed. And
he probably needs a nickel. He's starving, man. They've stuck him like he's a jobber now. But
yeah,
Six-man tag match, the Shield versus Evolution. And this match was kind of slow starting out, but, it was really fucking exciting during probably like about the last 10 minutes of the match. The big spot that Seth Rollins, the New Jack spot pretty much, I was shocked that they did that. I've never seen that on WWE before, like where he's riding the crowd, just jumping off the barricade there. That was impressive. I was surprised they did that.
It was the match of the night. I mean, it really should have been the main event because, I mean, like we were saying, everything after it kind of paled in comparison because it's a great match. Great match. I typically hate matches when they take them into the crowd, but this one was it was off the hook. I mean, like, Dean Ambrose, like, running across both announcer tables and jumping into Randy Orton and Triple H and
falling down the stairs.
Falling down the stairs and and that spot at the end, I mean, my God, I'd not seen anything like that in a long time. I'm surprised they did that. I'm surprised somebody didn't get hurt, to be honest, because, I mean, they talk about, Evolution's got 31 titles. Well, I think combined, they're, 150 years old, so you've got him falling on, 3 old guys. To wonder somebody didn't break a hip.
I think what really helped that too is nobody even knew Rollins was up there. It's like all of a sudden he comes flying out of nowhere. It wasn't like you saw him walking up there working his way up. He's just like, oh shit, damn, what the hell? It was just like a total shock. I thought that was just great.
They should replay that for weeks.
They should. They probably will. They probably will. They probably will.
That's dangerous. That kind of shit is dangerous.
Yeah, and did you guys notice every time Batista got up there, they were just booing the shit out of him. Batista. That guy he can't catch a break, man.
Is he leaving? What's the deal with him?
Well, supposedly, he's supposed to be at Raw tomorrow night, and that's supposed to be it for a while, like until after that movie comes out. But I mean, I don't know. Supposedly, the talk is he wasn't supposed to leave yet, and they were going to do Batista and Bryan at Payback, but he didn't want to lose to him, thought it would make him look weak with the movie coming out and all that. It's like, dude, whatever. I don't care. Honestly, I wish he just wouldn't even come back, but, I don't know. He just bores the hell out of me, man. I just do not care about that guy.
Well, I mean, they brought him back. They brought him back at a horrible time because, I mean, he was supposed to be the big, like the comeback, and everybody cheered for him, and it was just the totally wrong time because it was, everybody was for Daniel Bryan. He was going to be taking heat away from Daniel Bryan. So whoever it was, they could have brought whoever they brought back in that spot to take heat away from Bryan would have got the same treatment. So,
well, see, what made it worse was his reaction to it, like his smart-ass comments and talking down about fans and everything else. That's what made it even worse, and I think that's where everybody just wrote him off after that. They didn't even want to give him a chance at all. He sealed his own fate there, I think.
And the skinny jeans didn't help matters.
They were auctioning that ripped pair off on WWE.com. They auctioned that pair off.
Ridiculous.
And he's looking less and less like Batista every time I see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's part of it. I mean, Batista, everyone remembers Batista as this big, jacked up dude, and he comes back and he's pretty much the size of Randy Orton now. I mean, I think that definitely hurt as well.
Yeah, even his height, too. Like, I feel like he's the smallest out of all three of them. I don't know what happened to him.
He just you look so much better on screen in the movies than in the wrestling ring. So I mean, I think he cut out that pump and iron routine of his. So
I was glad to see Reigns pin him, though. I think that was good for Reigns, and it was a great ending of that match because you had all that crazy stuff going on outside, and then it immediately went back to Reigns and Batista. It was just they really had a perfect build there at the end, I thought.
If tomorrow's his last Raw for a while, do you think that they'll probably do something where Orton and Triple H kind of attack Batista for getting pinned or whatever? How do you guys see that ending?
It's possible.
Possibly, yeah. Or they could have like a Batista. You remember when Batista lost to like Rey Mysterio, and he was in like a wheelchair and screaming and crying, and he won't go out that way. But I mean, that was a pretty pathetic go out. But who knows what they'll do with tomorrow?
Anyway,
part of me feels almost bad for Batista, to be honest, because I mean, he just came in such a bad spot, and he didn't handle it well, and now he's gonna run away with his tail between his legs.
Yeah.
Probably won't come back either. I would be shocked if he came back.
Probably not. Yeah. Probably not.
But the Shield, man, they're in a weird position with the Shield because all three of these guys together work so well together. And I know they really want to push Roman Reigns, but I would leave these guys together for a while. I think that's the best thing you could do. But the thing is, I mean, you kind of there's not a whole lot. There's not much more you can do with them as a three-team tag team.
Well, but see, that's what I mean. That's where I think the singles push, but yet keeping them together would come into play. You know, start having them do singles matches too, and then off of that, you could possibly build stuff for them as the Shield. You know, I mean, have them together for promos, interviews, stuff like that, but have them do singles matches. Like DX and stuff like that. And I think there's a lot of potential there. I mean, they just shine every time they wrestle. They shine. I mean, the crowd just loves them. And the thing is, all three guys are getting great spots in every match now. And all three of them are really getting built up well. I just don't think they should tear that down yet. And there's ways of doing that, but yet also keeping them as a team.
Yeah, I agree. I agree totally.
Yeah, me too.
I think they will, though. I think they will keep them together, though, for a little bit longer.
Some people were speculating that tonight, like Ambrose would turn against them and join join up with Triple H and them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the rumor. That was a speculation tonight. Yeah.
I love it when Ambrose just goes nuts, man. He just goes completely unhinged. I love that about his character. When he just, it's great.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they should definitely let him. I think his strong point too, though, is talking. They don't let him do that a whole lot. I think they should let him do that a little more and be like the kind of the Ric Flair of the group.
Yeah.
Roddy Piper, whatever.
Well, and they did that kind of in the beginning, and then they were like, well, we want to push this Reigns guy, so they sort of took the mic out of his hands, and then it became more of a, everybody was getting a say, but of course the spotlight was on Reigns. So in the beginning, I thought he would be like the breakout guy because he had, the charisma, he had just that classic heel, he was born to be a heel. So I thought he would be kind of the breakout guy, but
I honestly think they have a chance to have three breakout guys if they play their cards.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't. The only one that I think they all could have great singles careers. The only one that I'm kind of worried about would be Rollins, even though everything he does is just awesome. I don't know if by himself they won't kind of get. Lose faith in him quick, and he'll end up being John Morrison or Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, that's my fear too. I feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean a lot of the riding and they don't really.
Sorry.
They don't really, as far as the mid card goes. I mean, we were talking about the Intercontinental Championship earlier. Unless you're in the main event, usually they don't, or you're in a match with Triple H or a feud with Triple H, they don't really care. I mean, as far as storyline goes and getting a good spot on the show. So, it's not going to be any of these guys' fault if they don't have a breakout career. But I think that they all could be main event guys if they are pushed right.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's what sets them apart as, they keep talking about and they want to compare them to the NWO and to Evolution and to all these other factions. But the thing about them is all three of them have the potential to be great standalone singles wrestlers. So, They really did a good job putting those three together. So
it's funny too because they're so different in styles and everything else, and it's great how they work so well together.
Yeah, exactly. But that was definitely the match of the night. I thought this was the match of the night for sure.
It was a fun match.
I agree.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
The next matchup, which we'll talk about that a little bit in here in a little bit, but I thought that the build for this match was the best build of the show. And I'm surprised they didn't do a build like this to WrestleMania, but hey. Bray Wyatt and John Cena steel cage match. Bray Wyatt is fucking awesome. Like, I honestly think, as much as I love Daniel Bryan, I would put the belt on Bray Wyatt come SummerSlam, something like that. I think that he's one of those guys that's just so different. There's nothing like him now. You've got to embrace that, and you've got to push the hell out of that. And I think he could be like an anti-hero, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Mm-hmm. And I love how they have the little light-up lanterns, I guess they're selling now or whatever. Do more shit like that, man. I mean,
yeah.
That's just...
Well, talk about being over as a heel. He may be the most, next to like Roman Reigns. Bray Wyatt's probably the most over. Well, God, I don't know. He's like in the top 3 most over people in the company.
Oh yeah.
And he's like the number one kind of in-ring heel.
Well, look at that match tonight. He's cheered the whole time. Cena was getting booed every time. It's like it's crazy.
Yeah. The crowd chants him. The crowd's singing along. He's got the whole world in his hands.
Right. And do you ever remember in the history of wrestling the crowd singing a fucking song? I've never seen that shit before that I can recall.
I certainly don't remember him singing like a church hymn. But
or any song really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's another one. And Vince McMahon likes to say there are no good guys, there are no bad guys. And I mean it's kind of but they book it that way. But the crowd seems to not see it that way. The crowd seems to see it like the bad guys are, I don't know, the bad guys are the cool ones. I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird dichotomy that's going on in the WWE right now where the faces get booed and the bad guys get cheered. And I think it's just the intelligence of the wrestling fan. They know a good character when they see one. They know a bland character when they see one. They know somebody who's getting forced down our throat. They know somebody who's getting a push, that haven't earned it, and they piss on them. But it was a great match. The only thing that, whenever I'm very wary of steel cage matches because they're all the same to me. They get thrown into the cage a dozen times. They climb to the top. They battle it out at the top. They fall back in. That was the only thing that really bothered me about that match was the steel cage kind of gimmick because I typically don't like the steel cage matches, and this one was kind of like that where it was just thrown into the cage, climb the cage, come down, fall back in the ring, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. It I don't know. I mean, it had a few cool spots, like when Cena was climbing out, and I think it was Eric Rowan climbed up there and grabbed him and like put him back over the top. And but overall, it was just, I think this is where the show kind of started to tilt the other way a little bit after that. Also, that's why they should have put the Shield and Evolution later, because it was just hard to top that with the way that the last half of that match went. And it was okay. I was happy how it ended. I was really thinking, with them doing this again, that there was no way Bray Wyatt wasn't going to win because, they built him up. If he would have lost again, it would have, diminished his character some. So, I mean, I'm glad that, Cena put him over and, cheating or not, whatever, it still worked. And the ending of that match, Jesus Christ, what did you guys think of the ending? Was that not creepy as shit?
It was cool. It was cool. I mean, I kept waiting, like, what's going to happen? Something's got to happen. Something's got to happen. Something's got to happen. So then when the lights go down, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But did you notice that backstage, like they didn't. Something happened with the voice change, and like when the kid first started talking, it was his kid voice that came out first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like the demon voice like quickly came in. So somebody probably got fired for that tonight.
Something though that I was thinking, and Jerry Lawler said it. Like I was going to say it on here. It was like a kid from Children of the Corn, and I can't believe he fucking referenced Children of the Corn on the show. I was like, that is freaking awesome.
Now Lawler pulls out some singers every now and again. So Lawler, yeah.
I was impressed.
Well, what did you guys think when the lights went out and that music hit? I had my buddy Crazy J on Skype. And we were kind of watching it together and talking, and we both thought it was going to be like a new member or something. I thought it was going to be something like that. You know,
that's what I thought too. Yeah.
I agree.
I thought
I felt the same way. I mean,
I thought Sister Abigail might be there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
too.
Man. I was thinking that the kid thing was creepy, but a part of me almost was kind of wishing it was something a little better. Yeah, I mean, there was things going through my head. I love when the lights go out and then when they come back on, there's something random. They used to do that with ECW quite a bit, and things going through my head were like Sister Abigail. I was thinking, okay, maybe Bo Dallas is coming in now. Only because what happened on NXT last week was they were chanting Bray Wyatt during Bo Dallas' match, so I thought maybe they flipped it. There's a lot of things going through my head, and I kind of just wish it was something a little more than the kid, but I did think it was a creepy moment, though, for sure.
Yeah, I think it worked with the kid just because of after what they did on Raw. Like if they wouldn't have did that on Raw and they just had a kid out there, it would have been like, huh? I think it was kind of a good payoff to that, and just having that happen out there then. But yeah.
Do you think little Johnny's going to be with the Wyatts tomorrow on Raw, or is that just like a one-time appearance?
Hard to say.
I can see John Cena winning over and exorcising the demon from Little Johnny, and having Little Johnny turn against the Wyatts, and that's how the feud will end, and Cena will win back C Nation. He will exorcise the demon of Bray Wyatt from C Nation. That is what will happen. Mark my words.
With the Super Cena powers.
Exactly.
That sounds like something that would happen in WCW in 1991, man.
They should have had me riding for WCW in 91, man.
So, after that, I enjoyed that match. So I thought it was a lot of fun, and I love the crowd interaction, and I would love to see more of that from different people, in WWE. But it is what it is. Anyway, next match was fucking horrible. Women's title match, and they always seem
sloppy as hell.
Yeah, like Tamina Snuka, who I've never seen her really do anything that impressive. I don't know how the hell she got a job other than the fact that she's Jimmy Snuka's daughter. I mean, I hate to be mean, but she looks like a transsexual or something. Like she's the only diva that is unattractive. Like no, she looks like a damn man.
That's the Divas matches are usually the ones that I sort of take the pee break, and when I come back they're over. So
and what's with them booking these Diva matches right before the main event and taking the damn steam out of the show? I mean, this is another case of them trying to cram that down our throat. They did that with Mania, and now they're doing it with this. It's like, you're taking the steam out of the crowd. Listen how quiet that crowd was during that match, I mean, It seems like people's kind of behind Paige, but still, it's the Divas. It's like, they look good, of course, most of them, but it's like, when it comes to the wrestling,
Yeah,
I just don't know why they keep booking it like that.
Yeah, I agree.
It was the wrong opponent. I don't think it was the right opponent for her.
Yeah.
For somehow.
Definitely, yeah.
I would like to see Emma, because Emma can wrestle.
She had a better match with Oksana. That's sad. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Now that's horrible.
They gotta get Emma away from Santino. I think that's her problem right now.
Yeah. I mean, she's goofy as hell. I mean, I understand why people don't like that. I like it, but the bottom line is she can perform too, man. I mean, I watched a lot of her NXT stuff, and she's had some in WWE so far, but she can perform. I think they would have a good match. Tamina and Paige just didn't have a good chemistry. It was sloppy. It was just, it didn't, I don't know, it didn't work.
No, it was horrible. And Paige is awesome. I mean, Paige and Emma, like, they've had some amazing. You know, that match they had the NXT special, that was one of the best Diva matches I've ever seen.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly.
On to the main event, which I think was a pretty well, you know, it was pretty well put together main event, other than the fact that, you know, they hadn't done jack shit with Kane for like 6 months. Now he suddenly, he puts the mask on, and he's, you know, the almighty Demon Kane now, or whatever.
Yeah.
He's unstoppable again. Had they not done the fucking corporate bullshit, and he was like pretty much, you know, just the afterthought for 6 months, this might have worked. And they had a good match. And Kane, hey, I've always said that for a big guy, he's pretty impressive in the ring, especially at that age.
Yeah.
He's done some crazy shit still. So. I think they had a really good match. I enjoyed this match.
Yeah, it was better than I expected, and I feel Kane still, you know, he still went, and he actually, to be honest, he almost looked like the champ here. Like, I mean, he went over, I think, they built him up, I think, bigger than they built Bryan. I mean, especially with the way it ended when Bryan's leaving. Instead of a celebration, it's like Kane's music hit, and it was almost like, you know, the spotlight was on him, and, you know, I'm kind of getting nervous about Bryan. I love Daniel Bryan, but I don't know. I just feel like there's something missing right now that was there a month ago.
And see, that's exactly what I predicted, what I thought would happen once he wins the belt. You know, that underdog mentality's kind of gone. I mean, yeah, he's still got the underdog with Kane and all that, but it's still kind of. And I really, you know, I just don't think they want him as champ. I think they're only doing it because they were forced into it. I think the original plan was to have Batista take it, but he didn't go over.
Yeah.
And we all know how that went. But I don't know. I mean, I like Daniel Bryan a lot, but I don't think they want him as champ, and I just think that it's really iffy on what's going to happen from here with him. But yeah, I thought the match was pretty good. And it looks like next month when I go to Payback, it looks like it's going to be a rematch. So, you know, I'm just hoping it's a cool stipulation, you know, at least. I don't mind seeing that match. Yeah, something at least, you know.
And first match would be good. They haven't done one of those in a while.
Daniel Bryan just needs to be booked, I think, better, and I think he'll get over more. Like, they need to book him either kind of like, I don't know, a Bret Hart, kind of maybe even like a Chris Benoit, or, you know, make him bring out that side of you know, the tap-out machine or something like that where he's just all around just tough, you know, and they need to bring that out of him because I think that's the only way that he's going to stay over with the fans. Then the whole underdog thing at this point, it's not. I don't think it's going to work anymore. They're going to change it. You know, he's going to be, you know, the top guy. He's going to be the one that everybody's nervous about, not that, you know, everybody thinks they're just going to take advantage of. I think that's where they need to really, you know, change his character because there's so many good people right now, and there'll be so many good main events coming. Like, I mean, things I want to see. I'm sure everybody else does. You could do, you know, Bryan Cesaro, Bryan Wyatt again, you know, Bryan. I mean, there's just so many other guys out there now that would be good contenders for him, and, you know, get away from the whole Cena, Orton, Triple H, Batista stuff. There's a lot of opportunity to have some great main events out there, and I just hope that they don't waste it and get, you know, Bryan out of that title reign before you can have all those matches. And even with Brock, I think him and Brock would be a great match too. And I hope we get to see those.
Well, imagine Cesaro and Bryan. I think that could be an incredible match.
Yeah, it definitely.
Imagine Bryan and Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bryan Rollins would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like the classic, you know, in the TV series. Once, you know, you spend all this time, the guy, you know, going after the girl, and everybody loves it, and everybody's right there with him, and they're rooting for him, and then the guy gets the girl, and you love it, and then the show sucks thereafter. You could care less. That's kind of what's happened a little bit, I think, with Bryan. I think the crowd is still behind him, but like you said, Garrett, you know, there just seems to be that fire isn't quite there. The yeses aren't quite as loud as they used to be, it seems like. So they should definitely, like you said, they need to kind of move away from the corporate angle and put him in some really good matches, you know.
Yeah, and showcase him for his talents and what he can do in the ring, and I think that's really what the fans want right now. You know, they don't care about the Cenas and the Ortons and stuff like that. I think they want to go out there and just see some awesome matches that are getting cheered. Think about the guys who are getting cheered. You got your Wyatts, the Shield. I mean, all just for doing different things, not the same old stuff we're used to.
Right. The same thing kind of happened to CM Punk. Everybody wanted Punk to have the title, and Punk, you know, everybody wanted Punk to beat Cena, and he finally did, and we were all cheering and loving it. And then, like a month later, it was like, meh.
Yeah, because it was some of the guys that they put him with after a while. You know, it was like Cena for 6 months, and then it was, you know, then they threw Rock in there, Ryback. I mean, you know, I would have rather seen CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, and I hope that, you know, we didn't miss that opportunity because that would have been a great, you know, headline.
One thing that's interesting though, you mentioned CM Punk though and his championship reign. If you go back at all those pay-per-views when he had the championship belt, I don't know how, not many at all, if any, was he actually in the main event. Like, Cena still took most of those matches. If anything, though, I mean, you can say at least they gave Daniel Bryan that last match on the show.
Well, you know what? When you guys were saying you felt that Shield and Evolution should have been last, I mean, I agree to the extent that it was the best match on the card, but I was actually nervous that it was going to be the last match because I didn't want Daniel Bryan to fall in that, okay, paper champion, but he's still not the top guy feel. So I was actually happy that they kept him last, which makes me think that they still have a lot of faith in him to carry the company. So I was kind of happy with that.
Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah.
But of course, Daniel Bryan, they did a lot of crazy shit in this match. He brought a forklift out there to the ring and did a dive off of it, which is crazy. And the closing, I guess, spot in the match involved the flaming table, which we were talking about before the show. I love that, like, you know, they had like a lighter fluid or whatever in a gas can, which was hilarious. And Kane started pouring the lighter fluid on the table, and the commentators were like,
and it was just barely enough to cover the table. Yeah.
Yeah, God. Yeah, that was so funny. It was what's his name coughing. He was, do you smell that? It's like the fakest coughing I'd ever heard. You know, we don't need it's in a red can. We know that that's gasoline. You don't have to start coughing and telling us it's gas. We know that, dude.
Yeah, and
it felt like an Attitude Era match, honestly.
It really did, and I think a lot of the pay-per-view felt that way too, from beginning to end. It had a very Attitude Era feel. I feel this pay-per-view did, and you know, I think that's a real good thing.
I think the whole roster really, it seems like they're really stepping it up this year. Like, everybody doesn't seem like they're just, you know, resting on past, you know, successes. It seems like, you know, everybody's really starting to try to, you know, like they're really trying to push these guys, hey, get out there and really make this something, you know.
Well, because they're all young and hungry now, which is good. It's a lot of the new guys that are coming in are trying to, you know, prove themselves, and I think that's where, again, you know, it's getting better, is that you've got those hungry young guys now that are taking over those top spots.
Yeah. I was surprised, speaking of young guys, Eric Rowan, his big ass climbing up that cage how many freaking times. He's a huge freaking guy.
Yeah.
You know, and that takes a lot of ball. I mean, you know, a big guy like that falling from that cage, it could be the end of his career. So, I mean, he definitely, you can tell that these guys, a lot of these younger guys, they're going to do whatever it takes to be at the top, you know. So I think that's good, though. I mean, it's good for the fans and hopefully, you know, for the product in general.
Yeah, it really wasn't all that long ago that we were saying, God, you know, we need, you know, WWE needs an injection of new, you know, new good talent, and now we've got, you know, we got our wish, because I mean, there's a lot of it. So
yeah, they play their cards right. They've got a whole new great roster to carry them over, you know. For
I mean, hopefully
the foreseeable future.
They use the guys right, though. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
We were talking about with the Shield. I mean, you've got three great talent right there, and it just depends on how they want to use them,
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
guys, and of course, it ended. Daniel Bryan retained the championship, and like you were saying, I'm sure Kane and Daniel Bryan next month at the Payback show. I wouldn't be surprised if Freddie mentioned Inferno match. I mean, the end of that match tonight, hell, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. That'd be a cool match to see live.
Yeah.
Were you guys surprised that Stephanie didn't come out for that match to try and do something or say something?
I was a little surprised.
Yeah.
They're probably saving that for Raw, though.
Right.
Yeah.
So, anything else you guys want to mention on here?
We should do the thumbs up, thumbs down like we usually do.
Hey, I say it's thumbs up for sure for me.
Yeah, me too. I really enjoyed WrestleMania. I think that this was up there with that one. I mean, like I said, I think the second half was a little bit weaker, but it was still good enough. I still liked it. But overall, yeah, good show.
Yeah, I give a thumbs up, and I totally think that I'm surprised. With the pay-per-views that have been on the network, how good they've been. Because you figure, they would probably be like half-assed, but so far so good. So I'm happy.
Yeah, thumbs up too. I think they're booking it right so far. I think the people who went over definitely should have gone over. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, exactly.
I give it a thumbs up just for the Shield versus why can't I Evolution. I keep forgetting their name. The Shield versus Evolution match. I give it thumbs up just for that match alone. There were other good matches in the pay-per-view, but that one was the whole show for me. I mean, I really liked that match. It was a good match.
I'm really pumped for Payback, going to Payback next month, because I think the show's got a lot of potential, and I'm anxious. I'm anxious to be in that crazy ass Chicago crowd and to see what kind of show they start building starting tomorrow night.
Those CM Punk rumors are going to start right now, right?
Oh yeah. Yep. Hijack Payback.
Is it true? I heard that CM Punk had something to do with the Ultimate Warrior documentary, but they edited him out or they blurred him out in some scenes. Did you guys hear about this?
Oh, yeah, they taped his face on a poster or something like that. Yeah.
There was a post over his face in one of the offices. Yeah. From the Royal Rumble poster. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't notice that when I was watching it.
Yeah, there's a screenshot of it out there. It's when Ultimate Warrior's walking through, and he's with Triple H there at the headquarters, and he's in one of the offices, and it's over on the wall. It's a Royal Rumble poster, and CM Punk's face has a post-it over it.
That's hilarious. I have to go back and watch that again. That was an awesome documentary about the Warrior.
Man,
awesome documentary.
I was really impressed with that.
I ain't gonna lie, man. I cried the last 15 minutes of that. I was crying, man. I think it's one of the greatest things they've ever made, man. Like, it was fantastic.
I totally agree. It was very, very moving. Like when Warrior gave McMahon that little engine that could.
Yeah. And then when him and Hogan talked too, was catching those moments, and with him passing away 3 days later is just insane. I mean, it's.
I think they were recording all that for an upcoming. They were going to do like a full documentary on his career.
Yeah.
So that's why they had all that stuff. But because who would have known what happened?
Yeah.
And we never really did a show or anything on that. But yeah, I mean, that was just the timing and the way that all happened with him. When I first saw it, I thought it was like one of those internet pranks, or whatever that people post. But it's sad, man.
I got up that Tuesday morning, and your post was the very first thing I saw on Facebook that morning about Ultimate Warrior dying. And I was like, what the hell? It's got to be just bullshit. I scrolled down. There's 2 or 3 other people. Ultimate Warrior's dead. Ultimate Warrior's dead. I got on Google News, and it was just like everywhere. All the major outlets. And I was just stunned.
Yeah. It's like I've said this before, not here, but The only positive way of looking at it, it's like, man, what better way could you possibly go out than that? I mean, the guy redeemed himself. Everybody that he had problems with, they all start feeling different about him before he passed away. Like, this guy has changed. Things are different. He's a different man. And I mean, he was so happy, that he was finally getting the recognition that he definitely deserved. I mean, I hated the way, they pissed on him and how everybody's pissed on him for years. Because, the guy's crazy, man, but that's why you loved him, And I mean, he was awesome. And I can't think of a better way, unfortunately to say it like that. It's kind of morbid, I think, to even say it that way, but I can't think of a better way for you to go out than that, man. I mean, it's crazy how it went down.
Yeah, he seemed so happy, I mean, like you could say, he went out happy, you know what I mean? Like he'd rebuilt bridges, he'd reestablished relationships. I mean,
And that speech on Raw, man. I mean, Jesus. I mean, how that's going to be talked about forever because I mean it's so true too. And then just how he died the next day. It's just wild.
Taunting.
Yeah. Taunting stuff. That documentary. I mean, some of those scenes I think were like what, maybe like 15 hours before he passed away. Like
yeah, exactly.
I showed my brother that documentary the other night, and he hasn't watched wrestling since we were kids. And the next day he called me up and he's like, "Dude, that documentary was awesome last night." And I mean, this is coming from a person who hasn't watched wrestling in probably 15 years. Really liked that documentary and really felt like it was a touching documentary. And a question that I have for you guys, I don't want to bring this webcast too long or whatever, but do you think that he knew there was something wrong with him or he wasn't doing well? I mean, because I've seen him like a year ago on YouTube and stuff, and him coming out and he's limping around, and I never heard of anything of a surgery, and I don't know if maybe he knew something and he called and said, "I'm ready to come back," just because he knew maybe he wasn't going to be around much longer. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you guys know anything else.
Here's the thing with that. I don't know if you guys realize it, but that whole thing that went down with SummerSlam, with him supposedly hijacking, the show and all that. Well, a lot of the documents of that came out. A lot of the back and forth between Vince and Warrior came out on that. And Warrior, in his letter to Vince McMahon, talked about how his grandfather and his father had his father passed away at 58, and I think his grandfather at 55 from a massive heart attack, both of them. And he mentions that in this letter. Or no, actually, this was 96. No, this one was from 96 when he got fired for not showing up at house shows, and he said it's for his dad's funeral. He mentions both of those, and he says in there, he's like, so I'm figuring I got about 20 years left, and he was 36 at the time, and he didn't even have that long left. So I think just by his family history, I think he knew, he just assumed his time was short, and he probably just, just with his health in general, maybe he just felt from there. But I think for a long time he already just assumed family history-wise that he didn't have a lot longer left. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's really crazy.
I mean, he definitely looked frail. He looked exhausted. He looked...
I mean, he couldn't even shake those ropes at all, I mean, I was so glad to see him do that, but it was like, oh, man, damn, he can't even do that, And
like you said, I mean, and I really didn't notice this until I saw the documentary, because, I mean, if you just kind of look at him in his suit, he still looks big and bulky, but, like, when he had his jacket off, and he just had on, like, that white shirt...
The shirt was just hanging off of him,
The shirt was just hanging off of it. It looked like he lost a lot of weight and a lot of muscle. And like you were saying on YouTube, he's got those videos that are just a few years old of him in the gym, and he looks like a monster, and he's pumping iron. And, I mean, he looks like he's still in peak physical condition. And then, like, I mean, there was a pretty, I mean, to go downhill like that in just a couple of years, because, I mean, that shirt, it really looked like he was bony under it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even the video game commercial, I feel like he looked a lot better physically. His body.
Just a year ago.
A year ago. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I mean, he may have known, because they said he had a massive heart attack, and that he had didn't they say he had like a heart disease or something like that. Maybe I read that wrong.
Yeah, I think so.
Heart disease.
Okay. So I mean, if it was documented and he knew about it, he probably knew. Hey, my grandpa died at 50 something. My dad died at 50 something.
The same exact way too. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, the thing is, too, I mean, his family, of course, had a history of it as well. But let's be real for a second. This guy abused steroids up until just a couple years ago.
Yeah, I definitely.
I mean, there's no way, if you watch those videos from like 2008, 2009, those workout videos, he was like 50 then. There's no fucking way. I mean, he was still, I don't know this. Maybe Garrett would know, he's more in the fitness. Was it like human growth hormone?
Yeah, he was probably on human growth hormone. I mean, someone his age to get testosterone or human growth hormone is probably a lot easier than if he was 20 or 30 years old. So, he could have definitely had something prescribed to him. But, all those years of abuse, I mean, who knows what was going on in that body? I mean, your heart's a muscle, so, all those years it's growing just like all the other muscles in your body. So that's why a lot of these guys, die very young. And I'm actually really surprised, knock on wood, that Hogan is still going as strong as he is.
Yeah.
Well, he probably had an enlarged heart, I'm sure, because of the steroid use. And I mean, now Warrior said that he didn't do any steroids, and I think he said the last time he did steroids was like in the 90s, early 90s, something like that.
Yeah,
those were his words.
Going on. I mean, he looked really good for a 50-year-old guy in the gym. I mean,
but now steroids and human growth hormone are two different things, though.
Similar in ways. It's still going to decrease his body fat and help him build muscle. The same way. It's pretty much a steroid. Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, what we were talking about we talked about this on DEADPIT a little bit, and I don't want to be a downer here, but the fact is, I mean, he wasn't a wrestler anymore, Why do you need to do that shit? You got two young girls. I think it was, I mean, he should have, I'm not going to preach or anything like that, but I mean, who do you need to look like that for? You're not in front of an audience anymore. You could be perfectly healthy and still work out, but I don't know. I think he was one of those guys that thought he would be less of a man if he didn't look like that or something.
You very well could have. I mean, it's tough to be that icon, especially because he took his gimmick so to heart and was so passionate about it. It would almost feel like a shell of himself, I think. So, mentally it might have just been something that he couldn't surpass. Like, he's the Warrior, and he had to kind of maintain some kind of physical build. And the older you get, the harder it becomes. So, I don't know. Mentally, he might have not been able to deal with that.
I mean, the dude changed his name to Warrior. He obviously lived it.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't a gimmick to him. I mean, it was a lifestyle. It was, yeah. My favorite quote from Warrior was, somebody asked him, like, what? He goes, "I'm passionate about being fucking passionate."
Yeah.
So that was the Warrior.
He was a great motivational speaker. I mean, some of the stuff, even though he was acting crazy as shit, but some of the stuff that he was saying, I mean, some of his videos from back then were really, like, I watched the hell out of them. Mm-hmm. I thought that he was good. He was better doing promos on those YouTube videos than he was doing back in the WWF.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I watched all of those right from when he first started doing them. I was always excited for him. I mean, because, some of them, he's just crazy. Like that one where he's, like, for an hour just going on and on about Hogan and everything. Yeah, he had his moments. But, yeah, there's a lot of those that are very motivational. It's like, I mean, it motivates you. It makes you feel better after you watch some of the stuff he says. I mean, I think the guy had a really good message, through, if you can get through all of the craziness and everything. I mean, he definitely had a good message too,
He had a career as a public speaker for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another quick note about that documentary, I don't know if anybody else noticed, which is really weird, is when did he come back and was fired the last time where he was no showing dates? Was that like 96?
96, yeah.
Okay, well, they kept showing this poster that he was missing events. And if you look at the poster really close, it says World Champion Ultimate Warrior versus Vader. So, in the time of 96, when was he going to be World Champion, and what was that around SummerSlam? Because, like, it just didn't make any sense, because Shawn Michaels was champion then, and I don't know if
I think that was the plan.
Photoshopped in there.
That was the same poster they used in the Self-Destruction DVD, and I think the Self-Destruction DVD was done for one purpose, to just destroy him personally and professionally, and I don't know why that was carried over from that DVD to this documentary, but yeah, that's clearly a photoshopped.
Yeah, because that it doesn't. The timeline makes no sense on that flyer at all.
Well, I think they had plans to do that though, to put the belt. Maybe not this, but I think they did have plans to put the belt back on him. Then when he came back, and I don't know if you guys know this either, but I recently found this out, and it was also through some of those emails and letters back and forth they had. But Vince tried to get Warrior to come back in '97. He offered him a 5-year contract, and he said, let's write your history right. Let's close out your career. And Warrior turned it down. But, I mean, can you imagine Warrior during the Attitude Era? I mean, how much different that could have been.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that really stuck out to me about that documentary, though, was some of the shots of Vince talking about Warrior and talking about, like, the last day that he saw him, they took that photo. I've never seen Vince like that before.
Yeah.
I was going to say that too. I've never seen him be emotional. I've never seen him break down and cry. I've never seen that side of Vince McMahon. That was something else that I thought was pretty powerful about that documentary. Was like that was an interview moment. So what I really liked was like I said, when he gave McMahon that little engine that could, because that was totally. That was just totally off the cuff. Here it is. You saw his honest reaction to it, and you saw that he was just like, wow, you remember this that happened all these years ago, and you've held on to it, and it was sort of like, I don't know, it was like you can change your, how you feel about somebody from hate to love, like that. It was a really good, really powerful moment.
Yeah, they did excellent.
Was it on the documentary? I think it was Triple H. Triple H said something. I think it was Triple H. It might have been on the documentary what Vince's first words were to Warrior when he saw him again, where he said, I've always loved you. I haven't always liked you, but I've always loved you. Like, that's apparently the first thing he said to him when he saw him again. Yeah. I mean, it really was like a father-son relationship they had, kind of estranged for a while because, they talk about how Warrior didn't have a father, he abandoned him, and he looked at Vince and Linda like his parents, and that's why he wanted Linda to induct him and all that, and it's just sad, man. It's crazy. But I'm just so glad, man, that they all made peace. I mean, imagine if this would have happened and they wouldn't have made peace or anything. I mean, it would have been a whole different landscape.
Like what happened with Macho Man.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I mean, would they have even done... I mean, would they have even announced it on Raw that he passed away? I mean, if they did, they would have been like, they would have done the little
graphic.
It would have been like a graphic.
Right.
Exactly. It would have been like a graphic, and that'd been it, really. They may not have even done the silence with the bell ringing 10 times.
And see, his whole history would have been looked at different. With all this, all this stuff that happened with the Hall of Fame and the Blu-ray and him coming back in. I mean, it's pushed his legacy on for another generation, and just it really didn't cement his legacy. Whereas it wouldn't have been that way beforehand. It would only been us that remembered, and it would have been lost basically.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, you couldn't have ended it as far as the wrestling fans any better. But if you look at it from a personal standpoint, I don't know if you could have ended it any worse.
Yeah.
For his family and his 2 young kids,
Yeah.
It's sad, really sad. But they did an excellent job, like I was saying. That documentary, to just be put together, what was it, 2 or 3 days after?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That they have that, ability to get something like that done that quick, and it's just
That's
really
a testament to that
emotional.
production team.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, definitely R.I.P. Ultimate Warrior, and
Big time.
definitely need to mention that because that was one of the big things that we haven't really done a show since the WrestleMania show, so that was one of them.
And if you guys don't have this, definitely got to pick it up.
Yeah, let's see where's mine at.
It is amazing. It's really awesome. 8 hours of greatness. And I recommend the Blu-ray because it's got like an extra 3 hours the DVD doesn't have.
Yeah, for sure. Have to,
is the DVD 2 discs too?
I think it is, but like all that the Blu-ray has like a bunch of bonus matches and stuff on it that the DVD doesn't have. It's at least 2 extra hours of stuff, I think.
Okay.
All that Blu-ray
cool.
bonus stuff. But it's really, I can't recommend it enough, guys. It's really, really awesome. And like a lot of that stuff they used during the Warrior Week with him sitting down talking is cued right from that. But I mean, it's over 8 hours, literally, just the actual thing. And then you've gotten the Blu-ray an extra couple hours of extra stuff. I mean, it thoroughly covers his career. They did it right.
Well, they should definitely do the Ultimate Legend on Blu-ray too. I think with some special features and stuff. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Maybe they can expand on that a little bit too.
Yeah.
I don't have that DVD to show, but I can show you this DVD. I've got that one right over.
Yeah. I think it's good Warrior stood his ground, though, man, and said, hey, he turned it down before because he said you got to make it right, and now they want to make it right by doing that. And I'm glad he stood his ground, man. I think he was smart for doing that.
Yep. Well, I think, like you guys were saying, though, that they probably still will do the Ultimate Legend and do that kind of expand on that and make it a feature-length type of documentary, and that'll come out on DVD, Blu-ray eventually too. They need to. I mean, that's just a great. Even if they don't, make it longer or anything or add anything to it, that's a great documentary. So it needs to be.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But guys, we've ran a little long, but I appreciate you saying, everybody checking it out and all that. We'll be back. I know Jason's going to be at Payback, so I don't know if you'll be able to join us, but you other guys are always welcome back. I guess, when is it, June 1st?
Yep.
That when we'll try to do these every month, do the pay-per-view recaps, and maybe if you guys have some ideas, maybe we can plan some more of these, like some of the old pay-per-view reviews or something from the network and all that.
Hey, you guys realize there's 2 pay-per-views in June? Battlegrounds, on the 29th.
They're doing that again?
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
And then Money in the Bank in July.
I might be there actually. I think I'll be at Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank.
Cool.
I love Money in the Bank every year they've had it. That's been, I think, one of the best shows of the year.
Yeah.
So we'll have a busy summer then. WrestleManiacs summer.
Well, they skipped.
It's the summer of the WrestleManiacs.
That's true. They skipped March, so I guess they have to make up for that March show.
Yeah.
So that way it makes it 12.
There's an NXT pay-per-view coming on the network soon. When is that?
The end of May. I think it's May 29th, I believe. Takeover.
That'll be fun.
We should do a show for that.
Yeah, I'm game for sure. So I guess the next time will be the Payback show, unless you guys, we'll talk, maybe we'll do something else. We don't pre-plan too much. I didn't even know we were doing we just planned this show earlier today. The takeover's a few days before Payback, so if we do that one, that might be our next one. Okay, yeah. That sounds good. That'll work.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right, guys, you have a good night, and I appreciate you. Anything you guys want to plug on here? Anything? I know Pizzell's busy with the Sausage Factory.
Yeah, Sausage Factory YouTube channel. Check us out, thesausagefactoryshow.com. Check us out there, too.
Got a .com now. That's impressive, sir.
Freddie, you got a relatively new podcast going on, don't you?
Yeah, Midnight Confessions podcast. You can subscribe on iTunes, and leave a little comments and reviews. That'd be great.
For sure. I'll have to check that out.
Horror, comedy, action, all that stuff is discussed. So.
That's cool. I didn't know you guys were on iTunes. I'll definitely check that out. That's really easy for me to do on iTunes, so cool. You and the Reverend Phantom.
Yeah. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, podcasting is something that I've enjoyed doing for, like, ever, it seems like. So it's always good when you have good dynamic back and forth with your buddy and bullshit, too. Something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you joining me, and we will be back for the NXT special on the 29th, is it?
I think so.
Right.
Pretty sure it is.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me, and everybody for listening, watching, or whatever. And we'll see you next time.
Have a good night, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
See y'all.
Lloyd.